Good morning, students. Today's class will be discussing the introduction of C++ programming language. So last chapter, we discussed the object-oriented programming techniques. That's a OOPS concept. So based on this concept, we have a programming language called C++. This incorporates all the features of C programming. That's object-oriented programming features will be included along with the C programming. C programming is used based on structured programming. It's a modular programming. So it's just upgradation of C programming. So we'll discuss that one. Before that, we learned why we need a programming language. So already we know that the language is a means of communication. If you want to communicate means we need a language. Similarly, if you want to do programs with the computer means we need some way of communication. So that is data and instruction has to be provided to the computer. To do this, we have to instruct, so we need some way of communication. This communication is established with a programming language. That's what we call as a programming language. Programming language means it is used to write programs in simple way. That is indirectly, that's why we use the word language. Language is the means of communication. Here also means of communication for programming. If you want to develop software or programs means we need a language. So that language is a programming language. So C++ is one of the programming language. Earlier we had different programs like Pascal, we have Fortran earlier, so and like Evolution. So today we have a more sophisticated like Python and also we have C, all our object-oriented programming language. To this academic, so we are going to learn the object-oriented programming, that is C++. And we'll learn this year half of the concepts, and next year we'll learn so remaining the features of object-oriented programming. So now let us learn something introduction and history of this C++, who invented this and how it came to an existence and how this has been modified and what are its advantages. We learn all these things in this chapter. So in 1990, C programming was one of the top, that's widely popular and using the programming language, but later on people started realizing the drawbacks of this language. Already we talked about it has no code security and also it's very lengthy programming. It uses more space, something that's what the commonly, because you right now we are not wasting time in describing C programming because that's a big chapter. That's what just it was some drawbacks. So we have to overcome that drawback. So the engineers had come up with a new programming approach that was object-oriented programming. Already we know about the object-oriented programming features, there are many advantages. The approach of this programming was capable enough to overcome the drawback of the C programming language. So using this concept, so that's can pronounce J may be silent. You can pronounce in the name noun. So Bern Stroustrup, something his name. So he developed C++ at AT&T Bell Laboratories in Morey Hill, New Jersey, US, American. So he developed this language in early 1980s and was very much concerned in making C++ programming more efficient. So he wanted to develop programming language that should be more efficient than C++. So it was based on C++, was based on mainly on C. Because C was much suitable to the system programming, like system softwares are developed using earlier, so C programming language. So therefore, he just modified the C. That is, C++ is based on C only and was widely available. That was available earlier. So it's also based on another feature language called Simula 67. So using these two languages, he combined so some features and made it as a C++ programming. That's a C++ is a superset of C. That is, what if we had a C, all the features, and also we had an additional feature. That's why it's called superset. Any valid C program. So if you are running C program, that could also be executed in C++ program too. But vice versa is not true. C++ program may not run on C programming language. That's not possible because it has additional features. That additional features is not supported in C. This can be clearly understood when looking at, we'll see this, all those things. We can understand the three relation between the C and C++. C++ can make use of existing C software libraries with the major addition of class construct. So this is additional things which is added to the C programming, C software. That's a programming language. So next, so C++ program not only make the use of new features, but also use the existing C++ features. So that is the advantages of C++ programming language. In the early stages, this language was called just C with the classes. And later in 1983, it was named by C++ by Rick Massetti. Now you can pronounce. The C++ is an increment operator, which means it's a C++ improved or augmented version of C. That is, along with C, it also has some additional features. Finally, C++ obtained new look in 1997 when ANSI or ISO standards committee standardized the language by adding new features to it. That is from 1997, so it is completely object-oriented programming language we started using. That is the standard International Standard Organization now committee has pronounced. That's one of the new languages, that is object-oriented programming, which is C++. So this all the features already we discussed in the last chapter. Okay, so we learn all this in coming classes. So let us learn the characteristics of C++. Actually, we have not studied anything about C++. After learning C++, we could have been explained, and no problem. So just imagination, try to understand some characteristics, some features are there, and then we'll go with the programming language. These things will be understood in detail. So, but whenever we talk about computer science, so we have to think in computers. All characteristics is associated like data, instructions, programs. How do we do programs in the computers? With respect to programming, how the characters, that's the features, advantages, disadvantages, all has to be understood. If you're now you're new to programming, maybe this academic you may find it difficult on these things. Once this programming concept are learned and again you read these things, this will be much clearer. So it's easy to understand. Right now just follow. Let us learn the C++ characteristics of C++. C++ has a certain characteristics over the programming language. Normally it has some features, characters. It provides a use function library. That's one of the advantages. Like your calculator, like normal calculator, we have few functions. When you have a scientific calculators, more functions, exactly similar way. In C++, we have huge library functions. That is, there are some programming which can be used directly by using the name only. No need to write programs. All are available. That's what it's a rich set of library function. So why its popularity increased day by day, more programmers are inclining towards C++. Now why it is increased means more people are multiple, because its features and also it has all like object-oriented programming concepts. So all developers started using this programming language. That's why it's becoming more popular. So first one is, let us learn why this is more popular, because of its multiple features already we discussed. Whatever we discussed the object-oriented programming, all these things will also be present along with this, some additional features. We learn all those things one by one. So object-oriented programming, this already we discussed about. So the possibility to orient a programming to objects. What we are programming is that treated in different way. Now it's how in real time we treat objects. The same way programming could also be treated. So allows the programmer to design the application from the point of view of more like communication between the objects rather than structured sequence of code. So here we are not concentrating just instruction code one by one. Here we can think like an object. So that is, we'll understand how it will be easier, because you do not know normal sequence of code and we do not know C programming, and if I tell that and this how what is the different technically, it's not possible. That's what, just imagine. So it's real time, how do we think, we approach. But earlier when you see programming, thinking in real time is different and implementing is a sequence of code instruction is different, but here it is almost similar. So that is what the feature, that's the most important feature of object-oriented programming. And also it allows the greater reusability of the code which is existing, like inheritance we all discussed, and also more logical and productive way. So just because of this object-oriented programming, we have this can be used more efficiently. And also we have other thing is like portability. So portability means it can be run from one place to another place, normally portable from one place to another. In this case, the portability refers to the programming platform, that's the machines, the computer, different types of computers, different manufacturer of computers. All those computers, almost most of the on most computers, this programming language can be executed. So that we can practically compile the C++ code in any type of computers and operating system without making any changes. So almost most of the programming computers with the operating system it supports. C++ is the most used and ported programming language in the world. It is one of the highest ported or maybe using programming language. So next we have another is called brevity. So what brevity means, a code written in C++ is very short. So short in comparison with the other language. So that's why you may not be knowing in the C programming, and this difference you cannot make. Just that's why I'm saying. So once you complete this, you're able to understand. Since the use of special characters is preferred to use the keywords instead of using special characters, we are using keywords. That's saving some effort of programmer, prolonging the life of keyboard. These are all okay. That's some features where you can use it because you have a keyword, so can use less. Instead of using keywords, what we do means we use some special character like F1, F2, or some other symbols controlled by something. So that what happens, instead of typing words, you can use a shorter, so that you can less use the keyboard. That may be okay. That's also one of the features. That is, you can use the keyboard for a long period of time. That may not be the features, but still you can consider. And also it's a modular programming. So what's a modular programming? Already we discussed dividing the problem into modules, individual collections of modules. So that can be implemented independently and can be combined together, like top-down approach. That's what modular programming means. So an application body in C++ can be made up of several source code, that is the different modules, that can be compiled separately and then linked together and saving time. So that is like top-down approach. It supports for modularity. Since it is not necessary to recompile the complete application when making the single change, but only in that file that contains it can be modified. In addition, this characteristics allows link C++ code with code produced in other language such as assembler or C language. So this is what modularity means. So what happens means, so one advantage is when you are using modular programming. So where there's the error means if there is something has to be fixed means only in that part of the file we have to check and modify. That's enough. So other thing cannot be without rewriting the entire, without recompiling, modifying the entire software. Only that particular, that's also. And also you can, because this C++ code module could also be connected with other programming code that is written in the C programming. So that's one of the advantages of C++. That's also one of the characteristics. C compatibility. Already we discussed C++ is a backward compatibility with C language. Any code written in C can also be included in C++ program without making any change. That is, you have a C programming which is running, working, could also be brought in a C++ program without making any changes. That's why it's called superset. So speed. So the resulting code from C++ compilation is very efficient due to its duality as high and low level language and the reduced size of the language itself. So it's like a middle level language. It supports for high level language and also have a low level language. So therefore what happens, this reduces the code and also it becomes much faster. It can be executed much faster. Mission independent. So mission independent means it's normally most of the high level languages are mission dependent. So it doesn't depends on the mission we are using. No instructions in the C++ programming, it depends on particular mission. So no need to worry about the mission. Just this language is independent of the mission. So flexibility, it's highly flexible language with the versatility. You can modify and you can use it. So it's a flexible. So it also supports wide range of library functions. Already we discussed this one. It has a huge library function which in turn reduce the code development time and also reduce the cost of software development, because most of them already is present, and time no need to rewrite the again, and also cost of the software is reduced. System software development. This is one of the programming language which is used to develop system software. Can be used for developing system software like operating systems, compilers, editors, and databases. Already we discussed about operating systems, and also develops those type of system softwares we use C++ programming language. So now let us learn whenever we talk about language, so we should learn about, like normally when we learn language, so we use first is we start with the alphabets. So which are the alphabet available in that language, and then we learn the word, then we learn sentence, then the grammatical way, we learn the entire language. Using these words, like when you talk about English language means, what we have means, we have 26 characters, like uppercase and lowercase alphabets. Using this, we make some combinations. We produce words which has a meaning, and then we combine these words together to form sentence. That's how we able to form. So similar way, if you want to use a programming language, you have to learn programming language. Means first we learn what are the things, what are the alphabets available in that language. That's what we call as a character set and tokens we learn. So first we learn which are the recognizable symbols used in the language and how they can be combined together to form any word, and also how to give instructions. We learn all this. That's what, like how we learn, normally English language. In the same way we go, we learn with, but we learn so many things like parts of speech. There are so many noun, pronoun, verb, something, all those things. Here it is different because it is more towards a programming instruction. So I have to think in terms of programming way. So we learn. So that's why you just follow now, and at the end of this chapter or when you end of this academic, so you'll understand these things in clear way, because you're beginning to it. That's why I'm telling parallelly. This is like learning language. So learning language means we start with alphabets. Here also we learn C++. We start with the alphabets. So what is alphabets means? It's a character set, and also it is known as a smallest individual unit is called as tokens. We'll discuss one by one. So here, what are all the symbols we are used in this language, and then we learn one by one. So character set means a valid set of characters that language can recognize. So English recognize alphabets, uppercase and lowercase, A to Z. Similarly here, valid character sets in that language, that is what we call as a character set. The character set includes letters, all the uppercase and lowercase, and also we have a digits, and also any other signs, symbols, which is available on the keyboard. All will be the vocabulary of C++ character set. So we have digit 039 is also available. So alphabets, uppercase and lowercase, both are recognizable. That's a part of the C++ language. And also we have a special character like plus, minus, all the symbols, whatever you can see, all those symbols is a part of the C++ vocabulary. That is, C++ recognizes all the symbols that is present on the modern keyboard. So C++ is designed in such a way that it's capable of processing any of the 256 characters and data or literal symbols that can be used. Maximum we have 108 or 112 keystrokes. So it can go up to 256. That is a possibility. It can get recognizable, but we have only 108, 102 also nowadays. Anyway, we learn what is. This is the symbols or what is alphabets used in the C++. C++ vocabulary consisting of all alphabets, uppercase and lowercase, and digits, all the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and all special symbols is also the part of C++ programming language. Now we define a token. So what is a token means? It's the smallest individual unit in a C programming is called, C++ programming is called as a token or lexical unit. So we have a smallest individual unit, like we have alphabets, there are different, combining this we form, like in English, after learning alphabets, we are forming word. What is a word? That is the similar way we define it. A token is the smallest individual unit in a program or a lexical unit. The most fundamental elements of C++, that's the basics. We have a tokens or lexical elements. So these element helps us to construct the statements, definition, declaration, and so on. We learn all those things, which in turn helps us to construct the complete programs. So all the programming languages are made up of these individual syntax elements called tokens. So these are the 5 tokens used in all the programming, like identifiers, we have a keywords, constants or literals, and also we have punctuators, and then we have operators. Then we have using these things, we form other things. We'll construct like expression, then we statements, all we learn next one by one. So this is the basic things: identifier, keywords, constants or literals, punctuators, and then operators. Let us we go with the one by one. So identifier, I think everybody knows. Why do we need an identifier? Means we use we have a name. So we use a name to identify ourselves. Similarly, in programming, whenever we do some operation, means we have to identify certain things. Where it may be a memory, or it may be some data you're going to store, or maybe the name of, we learn all variables, functions, that's all new things, but you learn. Just an identifier is a name given to identify the programming elements. What are programming elements? We may be learning like variables, functions, array names, or any programming part. We learn those things. That is what we call as an identifier. An identifier is a name given to the programming elements, such as variables. So these are the programming elements: variables, array names, function names, etc. So this is what we call as a identifier. It can contain all letters, digits, and underscore. Only symbol we can allow is underscore. C++ is a case sensitive. That's very important. Case sensitive means uppercase is different and lowercase is different. It treats uppercase and lowercase differently. They are not same. So identifiers are name given to the programming elements. Already we discussed. So it is important to know that C++ is okay. That's the same thing is repeated. So we have some of the examples. A student starts with uppercase, and this is this student and this student not same. They are different. But for us it is same. But in C++, that's meaning of case sensitive. If you treat this capital, this student and this students, they are not the same. This amount and this amount. So underscore, only symbol that can be used is underscore. Successive underscore is also not allowed. So that's also include marks 1, number, digits, and rank 5 like this. So digits and alphabets can be combined together. Here also underscore, here also underscore you can use. This is how you're able to name them. Any programming elements, if in your program you are doing, means these are things valid. It must starts with alphabet or underscore. But it is not allowed to use a successive underscore. We learn all those things. Rules, there are certain rules like grammatical rules or syntax we call. And uppercase is different, lowercase is different. And you can include digits and alphabets, but it should not start with alphabets. You can see digits with the digit which it should not start. Starts with digit is invalid. This hyphen symbol is not allowed. And public is a keyword, reserved word, already it is there, so we cannot use this word. There are some keywords in the language, they should be used only for the purpose for which they have been created. So we'll learn some rules for naming an identifier. The first is, if you want to write programs, means we have to declare variables or program name or any elements of program, the basics. So there are certain rules to be followed. Like normally, how do we name people? We do not use numbers and then alphabets, but we use a descriptive. We use proper way. The same thing here also, whenever we use an identifier, it's a name given to identify. So there are certain rules to be followed. So first, identifier are sequence of characters. That's alphabets, one by sequence of characters which begin with alphabet either from A to Z or lowercase A to Z or underscore. So if you are creating an identifier, means it must starts with either uppercase or lowercase alphabet or underscore. Another is C++ treats uppercase and lowercase differently. They are not the same. So next, for example, this capital letter uppercase data and lowercase data are not same. So this is the different variable, this is the name, and this is a different name. That's the meaning of case sensitive. So no special character is allowed except underscore. So only this underscore is included, no other special symbols are used. Whenever you are creating identifier means these are the rules. A keyword cannot be used for naming an identifier. So already we have a keywords, those things cannot be used. Identifier should be of certain length, reasonable length. That's so simply it has some, maybe it can go up to 32 characters long. So maybe we use 8 or 7 to 8 characters. So C++ has not enforced any restrictions on this aspect. What should be the length of the identifier, length of the name? It can be reasonable length. So C treats uppercase only, but we can use the keywords in case as an identifier since the compiler considers, okay, this is, even the keywords it's in lowercase means all keywords will be in lowercase, but you can use uppercase, that is, can be treated as a identifier. Okay, so there are some, next we'll go to another type of token. I think in this is, you understood. C++ uppercase is differently, but the keywords in uppercase as an identifier. Since the compiler considers while if it's as a keywords, but it does not consider as the same words in uppercase. So this capital, this while is a keyword, okay? And this is not a keyword because this can be treated as a identifier because only lowercase, all the keywords will be in lowercase. Next we'll learn that keywords. So another programming element that is a token is the keyword. We have understood identifier. Now let us learn the keyword. So keyword is also an identifier, but it has a predefined meaning. So it has to be used according to the purpose which has been created. So it's a predefined word that gives a special meaning to the compiler. It has some predefined meaning, so it should be used only for the purpose for which it has been created. They are also known as reserved words. Reserved means they are kept for some purpose and you have to use only for that, which can be used for their intended purpose and should not be used as a normal identifier. That already we have discussed. So there are some keywords example here. There are many things we learn like break, we learn case, we learn certain things. If like we are like in teacher, there are many things. These are all, you cannot, like int we cannot use, if you cannot use, go to you cannot use as an identifier. But they can be used, there are some specific purpose we have to use for that purpose only. That is something about keyword. Keywords are identifiers, they have a special meaning, they can be used only for the purpose for which they have been created. So they cannot be used as a identifier. That is something about the keywords. There are some examples you can remember. Keywords are predefined word and has a special meaning to the compiler, the programmer not allowed to change its meaning. You cannot use it. So that is something about keywords. So next we learn something about constant. So I think you know about constant means something which is not changing, which is not remain same. That is what we call as a constant. Normal real life also we call it a constant, something which does not change. But now with this here the constant is associated with the programming. So that's the execution of program. There are certain things which will not change. They are invariant. They remains same throughout the program. Such things are called, identifiers are called constant. Like invariant programming elements are called literals or constants. The term literal or constants are used interchangeably. You can call as the literals or you can use constant. Most of the time we use constant only. So you can see here there are different types of constants. So we learn they are program elements whose value does not change. That is very important. Does not change when means during the execution of program. There are many. That's what is a constant means. Constant is an identifier whose value does not changes during the execution of program. That is what the definition of constant. There are different types of constants. One you can define like numeric constant and non-numeric. So these two are numbers. So this is a numeric constant, integer constant, float constant. A non-numeric constant, we have a character constant, only single character, and also sequence of character. That is called string constant or string literals. We'll discuss all one by one. So we can have also again integer constant. We have like decimal integer, we have octal integer, and we have hexadecimal, and also we have an unsigned integer. So these are the different types of integer constant. We have floating or real constant. In string constant, we have two things. One is character constant, only single character, and sequence of characters. So these are the types of constants available in C++. Just you have to understand these things. In the later on, we'll use all these things one by one. These are the, now we are trying to exploring the facilities provided by C++ programming. When you start programming, I need something means you'll take from this. That's why it is the basics. We have to accumulate all these things and then we start using the, when you do programming. So what is a constant means? Constant is a fixed value that does not changes during the execution of program. That is also can define many of the way of defining. It's an identifier whose value does not changes during the execution of program. Constant is a fixed value. It does not change during the execution of program. That's also we can define. So now we'll go for integer constant. So what's an integer constant means? It's a sequence of digits, normally without a fractional part, only integer part, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is a positive or negative, but there should not be a fractional part. That is what we call as a integer constant. Sometimes we need to use in a programming only integer part because data has to be provided. We do not want fractions, real numbers. We want only integer. Then also you can use. That's why we are trying to learn all these things which will be used in the later on. So integer constants are constant that have no fractional part or exponents. They always begins with the digit. We can specify integer constant in decimal, octal, hexadecimal. We have 3 types form. That's a different number system. They can specify signed or unsigned types or long or short integers. That's also we learn. Long, short means that it can be represent very big number, very small numbers. When you want to specify integer constant using octal or hexadecimal constant, we use some additional symbols, notations we use. We prefix with the, that denotes the base, that's octal, hexadecimal 16. And when we want to specify integer constant of given integer type, we use a suffix that denotes the type. We'll discuss that one. So next is a decimal constant. I think we can specify decimal constants with a non-zero digit, any non-zero digit. So we can like say 1, 2, 3, 5 is example of decimal integer constant, minus unsigned, negative, yes signed decimal constant. This is not valid because for octal we use 0. Specify the octal constant, not a decimal. That's why whenever we talk about the non-zero, they use the word 0 should not be prefix. That any digits, so coming with plus or minus. Next we have an octal constant. That's a sequence of digits formed from 0 to 9, but we do not prefix 0 for representing constants. Next we have octal constants. So octal constant means we know octal number system, it uses 8 symbols, they are 0 through 7. So all these symbols using that you can form. You can see when we specify in octal constant, we should always begin with 0 because to distinguish between the, because we use a 7, 5, 4 in decimal, like 54 can be octal also, 54 can be decimal also. But in real time we use a base 8. So therefore to distinguish in programming we prefix 0. So whenever 0 is prefixed means, so for remaining digits represents octal constant, it's octal digits. Okay. Here you can 0, 9, 5. Why it is not 9 is not the digit of octal digit. It's not in the octal number system. Only 7, 0 through 7. This is a valid, this is an invalid. But we have to prefix 0. So that is something about the octal constant. So next we have a hexadecimal constant. So when you specify hexadecimal constant, so we should always begin with a like 0x lowercase or uppercase. The case x does not matter, so whether it's an uppercase or lowercase, followed by a sequence of digits 0 through 9. Again, because like if I write 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is hexadecimal valid, 1, 2, 3 here also valid, and 1, 2, 3 decimal also valid. So therefore, in order to distinguish, we use 0x 1, 2, 3. Then it represents hexadecimal constant. Here I represent 0, 1, 2, 3. Then it's octal constant. In decimal, we write just 1, 2, 3. So that's why we have to prefix like this. F is a symbol, 0 of F, okay, it's working. So 0x doesn't make difference, both are same. So we can be used signed or unsigned. Unsigned value, negative or positive, we can use. So unsigned, long, unsigned, so this is a symbol. So this is the different types of integer constant supported by C++. Now we'll learn about floating point constant. Floating points is a real number, at least one digit preceding and succeeding the decimal point. That's why I have fractional part and exponential form. That is what we call as a floating point constant. You can see floating point constants are also called as a real constant, real number. So these values contain a decimal point, so and can contain exponents also. They are used to represent a value that will have a fractional part and can be represented in two forms. That's a fractional form and also exponential form. So floating point constants have a mantissa, that's after the decimal point, and specify the value of number, and the exponent which specifies the magnitude of that number, and the optional suffix that is specifies the constant type. So mantissa is specified a sequence of digit followed by dot, period, and followed by an optional sequence of digit again, representing the fractional part of the number. You can see example, you can see here 18.45. That's what I said, at least one digit succeeding and preceding the decimal point. This whole thing, 1845, is called mantissa, and this decimal part we call, this is called fractional part. The exponents can also be written like 18.45. If we specify the magnitude of the number as a power of 10, shown in the following, like it's an exponential form, 23.10 power 0. That's E exponential form. This already you know about these things. Just remember, that's normal real numbers. It can also include additional plus or minus capital letter E if you are going for exponential form. A normal decimal form is also possible. So next we have a character constant. So character constant means any literal or symbol enclosed by single quotes is called character constant. You can see here P. Any symbols which are enclosed by single quotation mark, this is called single quotes. So such constants are called character constant. So you can see here a single character constant such as like D or R will have a character data type. So these character constant will be assigned numeric value. The numeric value or the ASCII values, American Standard Code for Information Interchange, which are numbered sequentially for both uppercase and lowercase characters. For example, ASCII value of A is 65, B something. We already learn about these things. So 0 is all those things. So there is another class of characters which cannot be displayed on the screen, non-graphic characters, but they have a special meaning and used for a purpose. For example, tab key, carriage return and backspace, and also we have a escape. They are called as a escape sequence. They are like almost like keyboard. They can be used only for the purpose. They have like this. It looks like single character, single quote. When I use it, it's a single quote. It's a double quote. This is a question mark and backslash. It's a null character. We learn all those things. All these things we learn in the next. So escape sequence is a special string used to control the output and monitor output on the monitor, and they are represented by single character and hence occupy 1 byte of space. So that will come back to when we do programming, we'll learn again these things. String constant means it is the literal sequence of characters, more than one characters. They are enclosed by double quotes. They are called as a string constant, and also they are terminated by null character. This is called /0 is a null character. You can say a string is a literal. String literal is consisting of 0 or more characters enclosed by double quotation mark. So multiple character constants called string constant, and they are treated as an array of characters. We learn this in array chapters. By default, the compiler adds special characters that is called null character. That's called, this is to identify the end of the string. So on the end of the string, so for example, you can see from this double quotes, you have a double quotes here also double quotes. Within these double quotes, whatever we have a sequence of character, that is called as a string constant. This actually represented like string of 15. You can use this is automatically updated by null character. So this is a sequence of characters. So that is something about string constant. These are the different types of constants we have discussed. We have discussed identifiers, then also we discussed different types of constants. So next class we'll go with the next token, which is punctuators, that we'll learn in the next class. Okay.